Alright, so as you can see, there's a picture right over here, and the movie is called The Campaign. And so in The Campaign, there are two politicians, as you can see, because they have a suit, and they have to go face to face for a certain reason, which is because they actually want to use social media and also how to campaign against each other. So today, I'm going to review for you how public figures such as politicians put social media into effect. So there are three purposes of using online sources or live streams of social media. So there's winning in elections and campaigns, expressing opinions to the public, and informing and updating the public with current news. And each one of these is very important because each of these have a certain effect on a certain audience or how to boost your self-image. And winning in election campaigns, that one is more for the audience, and expressing opinions is just trying to reveal themselves. And informing and updating the public is using more Twitter, Snapchat, and Facebook. Okay, so for the first one, winning in election campaigns, there's Richard Nixon and there's JFK. And I'm using them too because this one was a very big election in the 1960s. And as you can see, Richard Nixon, he appears to be very sickly, pale, because he just came out from a hospitalization. Based on the way he dresses, it's black and white, so his suit actually blends in with this color in the background. But then JFK, he's wearing a black suit which pops out from the background, which is completely gray, so it's going to look in like even more better. It's going to look sharper. Not just that, but when he speaks, there's a difference between, like when you speak, for example, when you give a speech, like you can say, "Oh, she's nice," or when they speak, they can actually put more emphasis, like, "Oh, she's nice," like louder, to give a stronger emphasis. And that's how they win in the elections and campaigns. Oh, and they also give ads, and also like pictures, images. They also put them out onto the internet too, and they speak in front of the cameras, which is also known as the press. So there's expressing opinions to the public. For example, there was a very big incident that happened earlier this year, which was the Orlando mass shooting. And Trump and Clinton, they both each spoke on their opinion. So there's a difference between opinions. It's a little bit cut off here, but like I already said, it's Orlando mass shooting. So Clinton, when she expressed her opinion, she's a little more like heartwarming about it. She actually feels emotions, and very sensitive. She actually feels the families, just like she acts like she puts herself into their shoes. And she did motivate everyone. Everyone felt that Clinton was actually siding with them. Then on the other hand, Trump, he actually had quoted something: "A radical Islamic terrorist perpetrated the mass murder." And so when Trump explained his own opinion, he, okay, it's like more an opinion in fact, but it was actually false because it was actually more of a white supremacist, and it was more going against what he wanted for gun control and illegal immigration. And so he actually said the facts, but then it turns out he lacked feelings because he did not put in any sympathy for the families. The last one is keeping the audience updated. So lets the public know about the current events and thoughts on them, and it also keeps the audience updated with just literally everything. So for example, in the next slide, there's Charlottesville. Obama spoke out on Charlottesville on Twitter. He had actually mentioned that he was trying to make a comeback to the Charlottesville, because Charlottesville was more of an uprising due to discrimination and racism. So in the picture over here, you see there's diversity. There's African American, there's white, and there's two more kids like with different ethnicities. And so Obama is looking at them because he wants to make sure that he says no ethnicity like actually matters, like don't be racist, don't be discriminative. Then it's also going out to categories such as religion. Like don't discriminate against them. And for example, like Trump, he does actually update the audience about what he says, of what he thinks or feels. Like can be a little bit racist, like for example, like when it came to like one of those illegal immigration topics, who would mention something about actually how he would feel about it, like, oh, let's ban all Muslims. And that's the more expressing his own opinion, what he really thinks about the topic. And so we're excited. And so for my conclusion, I would actually say that social media is widely used by politicians to win in elections, freely be themselves when presenting, and keep the audience updated with the current news and what they actually think or feel.
All right, Jasmine, what did you think?
I liked how he gave us a preview at the beginning of the speech and the PowerPoint. He did speak loud and clear. He did look at us, didn't really look down at his note card. I liked how he gave us good examples like John F. Kennedy and Nixon, and Trump and Clinton, how they gave their own personal opinions and placed it on social media, because he did say that they use, or they, campaigns have an effect on social media. I also liked that I did feel he lost a little bit of his point when he got to that last slide with Obama. But other than that, he did pretty good.
All right. I thought the visual aid, his attention device, doesn't quite work because it doesn't really explain what it is we're looking at, and you make a bigger deal out of talking about the movie than you do talking about the point that you're trying to make. The candidates have competing visions and ideas, and that social media are one of the ways that express that. That, I think, is pretty straightforward, and you do state that as your goal, so that's fine. I thought it was a little odd that you called the supporting points purposes instead of the sections of the speech that they're going to be. That it wasn't a big deal. It just seemed like an odd way of phrasing it to me. But it was structured. It was previewed. Jasmine, I think, has that part right, that there was a preview at the beginning, and I thought that worked pretty well. The content, I think, is a little bit problematic because it seems like you have bits and pieces of information from the different things that you're talking about, but they never feel like they are coming together the way they should. The whole Nixon-Kennedy thing, for instance, you've got a combination of the visuals that you're trying to use, and you're talking about an incident. Actually, I think most people who are familiar with that event will tell you that it's primarily the debate that it was being referred to when we were talking about the way the two candidates stood out against the background screens, that sort of thing. You don't even mention that it was a debate that was a key factor in this process. You make it sound like Nixon never wore a dark suit and Kennedy only wore dark suits and Kennedy only stood in front of light backgrounds. I'm not exactly sure that that's an accurate description of what happened in the election, but the idea there is that you've got some information that's good, some information that's accurate, but it's only partial, and the context, I think, is a little bit problematic. And then you have the same kinds of things happening, I think, on the other examples as well. We get a little bit of information that's accurate information, but we don't get enough context on it for us to be able to make full use of it. And sometimes the information just seems like it's there without going anyplace with a particular purpose. The Obama image that was tweeted in regard to Charlottesville, the incident that happened there, I thought the picture was great. What you need to do is talk about why it got reaction. I didn't hear anything about the reactions that people had to the Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump stuff on the Orlando shootings. That just seemed like it was there as background. There was a little bit more discussion about how the Obama picture seemed to be resonating with people and being retweeted and all that sort of thing. But did that change people's perspectives? Did it suggest that he's perceived as being more accurate or correct in talking about that? I didn't really hear any information about that sort of thing, just kind of a little bit of a contrast as to what the image was. Let's see. You want to avoid the laser pointer. I know you hit it a couple of times, not a big deal, but let's skip that. You don't need a slide for the bibliography, so you can skip that. And I thought you did a very good job talking to the audience for the most part. You are engaged, you are looking at people, you're not dependent on your notes, but you do need to have a little bit more control over what the content is. All right, thank you.